Hello everyone, this is Ig Arthur, or E.G. Arthur if you prefer, and here's a video which shows a quick 10 quest run for the wrapper for the Farmer's Fair for 2023. Normally, when I do these kinds of videos, for those who have seen them, even if a run is pretty short, as this one is, it's a little over 10 and a half minutes, a run time. But nevertheless, I usually end up with a video that's 30 minutes or longer because I spend a lot of time analyzing and discussing things like the constraints that I have on the run and all the different alternatives that are presented. So this time around, I'm going to try and focus mostly on just giving a commentary for the run and put a lot of that other material, that background material or context material, into the description of the video. So I'm going to try and keep it as short as possible. But before I actually get started, I do want to address some questions about why I have rejected certain quests as part of the run. Farmer's Fair, as you may know, is actually a consolidation of two different festivals. And so there's a lot of quests that are available, and I've had to go through and pick and choose which ones are part of this run. So why have I rejected some of them? And the two main categories are randomness is one. Lots of the quests have a very strong random element to them, especially if there are quests that require the use of the fishing skill, because every time you fish, there's a random chance of getting what you want or not. For instance, the big fish, little fish, that requires that you get 7 of the big fish before 5 of the small fish. If you were to just cast 7 times and early in each cast you were to get a big fish, then you could finish that quest up in probably a little over a minute or so, maybe a minute 15 or something like that. But that's highly unlikely. It's much more likely that you'll get the fish at the end of your cast, if you get it at all. Or that you'll get a small fish, and there's also a good chance that you'll fail the quest. You may get the 5 small fish or puny fish and fail the quest, which means it's just a total waste of time, and you'll need to find an alternate. So I'm not including things that have a lot of randomness to them. Another aspect of this, which could also be viewed as another kind of randomness, is contention or competition from other players. Where their activities in trying to do the same quest may either increase your chances of failing the quest, especially if you're on a timer, like for instance the egg scramble or the mushroom hunt, or at the very least they may slow you down because there's things that need to reset or respawn. Part of the reason why I've chosen some quests over others to try to make this somewhat predictable. I haven't completely eliminated randomness and contention or competition from the list, but I've tried to minimize it. All right, well, I'll get the run started shortly, but before I actually start the timer, and by the timer, I mean the little stopwatch display that's in the lower right-hand corner. This is a plugin called CTime, which has a number of different chronometer type of functions, and I'm using the stopwatch function, and that will record my progress. But before I start that, I do just want to hover over the mount icon there, and just to demonstrate or to display the fact that I'm using a 62% mount, a plus 62% mount. And the reason that I'm using that type of mount is because it's something that's available pretty easily to everyone. You can buy it for 500 silver at Hengstaser Farm. Once you have riding, you can get it as a quest reward from the Wedding Epic while festivals are going on, which obviously there's a festival going on right now, you can, if you have enough tokens, you can barter for a 62% mount. 68% mounts are not as common or easy to come by, but there are some available in the game. I think some of the ones you can barter with Figments of Splendor are 68%. 78% you can only get by buying an account-wide riding package in the store, which is pretty expensive. And if you're high enough level, you can get a War Steed, which, although a lot of people don't like using those when they don't have to because of maneuverability problems, on a straight line basis, after acceleration, they are very fast. So there is that option too. But just to make this as accessible as possible, I'm using a 62% mount. All right, so now I'm going to start the timer, pick up the daily meta, and the first real quest that I'm picking up here is Manning the Market, which is on a 15-minute timer. It doesn't count towards the meta in and of itself, but it is a wrapper, so it enables a bunch of other quests, which I'll be doing shortly. Next, I'll pick up the Great Mathom Fishing Swap quest. That's on a 10-minute timer, and although it expects you to do some fishing, you don't have to. If you just let it time out, then it counts as one quest towards the daily meta. I'll come back up to Bywater, pick up the Frozen Sweet Cream quest, and start progressing that with the Frozen Sweet Cream, followed by the fruit. But I won't finish that just yet. I won't progress it further because I'm about to do some of the Manning the Market quests. And the reason for interleaving them, I'll explain shortly. The first Manning the Market quest I'll pick up is the apple shopping. And this just consists of just clicking on one or more crates and acquiring apples. I have heard it said that this goes faster if you click on multiple crates, but I haven't tested that. I usually just click on one, and I do the use command, which in my case is mapped to insert. And the reason for that, rather than just clicking, is that sometimes you get a bogus dialogue that pops up, and I like to have my mouse hovering over the dismiss button for that dialogue so I can quickly get rid of it. All right, so next up, after apple shopping, I pick up a nosy request. This is the one where you yell at various lazy workers. The first one is in the Green Dragon. Now here, what I do is I progress the Sweet Cream quest, which is also here. So there's a little bit of parallelism. This quest does have, the nosy request quest does have a little bit of potential for contention. If someone's clicked on that guy, or actually any of the NPCs, then there might be a few seconds for it to reset before you can click on it. In the Green Dragon, if you see that the NPC is resetting, what you can do is you can do that Frozen Sweet Cream quest objective while the NPC is resetting, right? Otherwise, I would click directly on the NPC, because otherwise, if you do it in the other order, someone else could come along and click on that NPC, and then you'd have to wait for the reset. So it's kind of like an option play, depending on whether the NPC is resetting or not. So the second NPC for a nosy request is in the Mushroom Tent. The third one is in the Methyl Stage. I've done all of that. And now I'm on to the quests that require you to collect various things. As you can see on the left-hand side, I have a plugin called Lochopad, which is just a notepad type of thing. And I've spelled out in a document within Lochopad the exact sequence of things that I need to grab for each of these collection quests. And just to make sure that I don't get confused or distracted, each of the sets is exactly 6 items, 6 lines. And if I'm going to skip something for a particular collection quest, then I just put it in parentheses so I know that I'm skipping that particular thing. Like on this one, a market list, I skipped cabbage and I skipped meat, right? Now for various reasons, I generally prefer to zoom in a little bit when I'm doing these quests. That way you can see the onions that are sitting right next to each other and distinguish one from the other, so you can click on the correct thing. Also, the breads are kind of close to each other, and the cheeses are kind of close. So if you zoom in a little bit, you're more likely to click on the right thing. I believe there's also plugins that do a more comprehensive job of this. I think B4 may have added something to the Festival Buddy plugin to help with this. But for me, I take the middle ground. I use a plugin, but I just use a generic notepad plugin. All right, so now we're done with all of the manning the market quests. And in fact, we're done with everything that we want to do in Bywater. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my way to the Bree-land Festival Grounds. And there are many ways to get here, but the fastest way, which is the one you see here, is for me to actually have a milestone set at the Bree-land Festival Grounds. Now, I made some errors here. The idea is to have all these fireworks purchased and acquired ahead of time. I forgot to get the man fireworks. But fortunately, the fireworks vendor is just a couple steps away, so I bought those. The other mistake I made was one of the possible quest rewards for the fireworks quest is Summer Day Fireworks. And I chose that on a previous run, but the problem is I can't choose it again because the item is unique. So I can't have more than one of them in my inventory. So when I clicked on that reward, it couldn't put it in my inventory, and so it couldn't complete the quest. And so I wasted some time just mentally realizing what had happened and then clicking again and choosing the other quest reward, which is just some tokens. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You can only have one instance of the Summer Days Festival fireworks in your inventory. So if you pick that, you can only pick it on one run, and then you would either have to delete it or you'd have to pick the other quest reward on the other run. The next thing up is the horse race. People who have been doing festivals for several years probably are pretty good at that, assuming that they have a certain amount of dexterity in real life and they don't suffer too much from lag. So that's finished up. Now I'm going to make my way to the party tree, and there are several ways to do that. I'm going to take a somewhat slow way, which is to ride on over to this free port here to the West Bree Stablemaster, and near that Stablemaster is a free port to the party tree. But you could use a homestead port, or if you have a quick way to get to Mitchell Delving, you could go there, and from there to the party tree. There's more than one way to do it. All right, let's turn in the Sweet Cream quest to Tansy Tyfield, and now we're going to head to the keg races. Now, I'm not actually going to do a keg race. I'm not going to wager on one of the contestants and all that jazz. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this quest, which is just a collection quest. So there's no randomness, there's no competitiveness or anything like that. I just wander around the racetrack and pick up various items along the way. It's not the fastest quest among all of them, but it just so happens to be right here at the party tree. And honestly, we need to kill a little bit of time anyway, because we're waiting for that Mathom swap quest to time out. So we have a little time to spare, which is an odd thing to say when you're trying to optimize something for time. So now I've got 3 of the 5 items. Get the mug. And finally, the shield. So right up here. It takes a little practice to know where all these are and to develop a circuit for being able to pick all of them up. Now I just need to turn it in. Now there are a couple of ways to get out of the keg race area. One way is to go to the Taste of Hobbiton, which is the Hobbity version of the keg race, I understand, I gather. Never done it, personally. But what I prefer to do is just go out the main entrance there, which puts you at Thorin's Gate. Thorin's Gate has a free port to the party tree. Now we're back here. Now the only thing to wait for is for the Mathom swap quest to time out, or to expire and autocomplete, and that's our 10th quest, and we're done. Stop the stopwatch. Alright, so I do want to call attention to a couple of things that need to be taken care of, loose ends, if you will, beyond the run itself. First of all, you need to let that Manning the Market quest time run out to completion, because it has to complete. Otherwise, next day when you log in, since it counts down in real time, it will complete then. And since it's a daily, it won't let you pick it up that day. So you do need to let it run out. But that can be done AFK. That can be done anytime. You can time shift that as much as you want. Another loose end, which I'm showing right here, is that you need to make your way back from the party tree to Bywater, since the next day's cycle is going to start in Bywater. And I reset my stopwatch, and I've started it up again just to show that it takes very close to 1 minute on a 62% mount if you take a fairly direct route back to Bywater. But you could just as easily take a homestead ports or some other way of getting here, or to Mitchell Delving, which then has a free port to here.